Good evening and welcome to the Village Board meeting for the Village of Pleasantville. Today is Monday, July 25. If you are watching live on Monday, July 25, we encourage you to call in if you have comments or questions at 769-1677. As always, you can catch us on Verizon or Cablevision Cable TV or online at pctv76.org, and within a couple of days, pick up an on-demand webcast of this and previous meetings at pctv76.org. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for 2 weeks from today, Monday, August 8 at 8 p.m. with a work session at 7. So I had a couple of announcements to make. I think last week Mindy already commented about the successful music festival, and we'll have more details in the end when all of the accounting is completed. But the short version of a long story is a whole bunch of volunteers led by Executive Director Bruce Figler did a fantastic job this year, as did Patty, whose job is hijacked for a period of time in order to make this very large event happen. But I can't count the number of people who said to me that day and since that they are so impressed that such a big event is run by such a small town with such good spirit and so efficiently. So do I hear tell that the duck race has been had?
The duck race has been held. It was an extremely successful duck race. We held it yesterday in spite of the heat and
no water?
lack of water in our little creek, although we had great help from the Pleasantville Fire Department that drove up a pumper truck and put 3,000 gallons of water into that little creek in about 4 minutes. So the ducks were merrily swung down the river. And I don't usually get into the details, but this year's best dressed duck was awesome. It was a kiss duck, like in a Gene Simmons way, right? With the black stars and the whole thing with the wings and the tongue. It was really, 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 really cool. So great day was had by everybody. I think we had.
Who was it?
I don't.
Okay.
I do, but I don't remember.
Okay.
And we had prizes for best dressed duck, upside down duck, sunken duck, stuck duck. We had all sorts of good stuff. We had a bunch of duck minders. It was a great day. Probably 200 to 300 people came out
nice.
for it. It's really turned into a neat thing. Yeah, it really is a lot of fun. So thanks to everybody for supporting the swim team and having a good time yesterday.
Thank you for
Thank
all
you.
your work
It's a lot
you
of
do.
fun.
Steve does a lot of hard work at that.
And Colleen, did you want to report about the Pville Strong Summer Forums?
Yeah, I was just looking
No.
for the dates.
Here, I
Shane,
think
what are
I've
the
got 'em.
dates?
Thursday, 28th and the 4th.
So Thursday the 28th and August 4th, also a Thursday. Yes, I'm sorry. I said my computer's been downloading email messages for about 45 minutes. This is a community event that's going to be held at the high school, and it comes from some concerns that parents had about some activities that have been disturbing activities that have been going on about alcohol and substance abuse this summer. We invite everyone to attend. There'll be great information there. We have representatives from the school, from the village, from Pleasantville Strong, and then we have professional experts that will be helping with those smaller breakout groups. So we invite everyone to attend. If you'd like more information, you can go to our website. And we also have a Facebook page, Pleasantville Strong. I also wanted to add something else. I attended last week a conference on emergency services for developmentally and intellectual disabled individuals. It was run at the county center. And they had an individual there from Niagara University who's sort of this preeminent guy. The good news is that we've done a lot of the things that they recommend because of our VIP and Kind Find program. We've actually taken a step ahead on getting people prepared, knowing what they're doing, knowing who we need to deal with. I think we could probably merge some of our issues with some of our seniors that now have some disabilities that maybe they didn't have before. But I got a lot of great information. I sent an email to the chief and asked if we could meet, as well as with fire and ambulance, just to kind of go over some of the things that they recommended to see if it would fit into their schedule. And I'll share that with everybody maybe at another date once I meet with them. But it was valuable, and I'm glad we attended. But I think that we're in actually a very, very good position.
Yeah, that's the thing I think a lot of people don't really think about, right? That
They don't.
when you have a person like that poor fellow that sitting out in the street, that therapist that ended up getting wounded by the police, but he was trying to help his autistic patient.
Right.
And there's...
Well, what I think too, one of the first things, and this is kind of what we've said to our VIP population, is and it's not to say that we're not going to do our duty, but you have to be prepared for no one coming to get you.
Right.
you need to have everything ready. You need to have your medicine ready. You need to have an emergency plan ready. You need to have neighbors there maybe to activate, to help.
Yeah.
And so not only should we be doing things, but the families themselves need to be doing some things so that, you know, in the case of a really terrible emergency, that, you know, all the bases are covered. So as I said, I think we do a fairly good job. There's some other things that we could do, and again, I think some more with the seniors. But it was valuable, and again, I'll share that with our first responders and see, you know, what other things that we can come up with to do. And also maybe to do something with the senior center. I was thinking maybe a lunch or something one day to talk to them and go over the info. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
All right.
idea.
I had 3 other things to report. One is kudos to the Jacob Burns Film Center. Last week, students and teachers from JBFC were at the White House in Washington for an award ceremony that was honoring, among other things, the Jacob Burns program called Created Equal: Image, Sound, and Story. It's a civil rights curriculum that was developed by JBFC in partnership with the Brooklyn Historical Society. So they were honored by the President's Committee on the Arts and the Humanities and made their way to the White House to be honored. So impressive venture, one of many such things the Burns is doing, but pleased to see Pleasantville represented in that way. 2 other things I wanted to report. Lots of people have commented about the sad passing of MacArthur's and Michael's, and I think we've already commented about the great and long service that Doug Crossett has provided to so many people in this village and to so many not-for-profits, and a shout out to him again on that subject. But I'm also happy to report that there is significant interest in both of those 2 properties, and new restaurant operators are actively looking at both of those properties. And I think it highly likely that we will see whatever the next generation will be in those 2 sites fairly soon. So that's good news, and an indication of the strength of the Pleasantville commercial sector. Then I also wanted to remind everyone that we're in the midst of a master plan update process. Right now, our consultants at BFJ Planning in New York City are working on some of the details of the plan, and Patty and I actually visited them today, and I'll be reporting to my colleagues in work session about the status of that. But BFJ Planning is going to be back here for a work session presentation on August 8th, our next village board meeting, to kick around their progress and discuss with the village board. And then on that occasion, we'll be setting a date in September for the next public work session, which is going to take place in September. So meanwhile, there's some interesting material up on the web at pleasantville-ny.gov. In the left-hand column, you can find the master plan tab, not only to look at old master plans, but also if you have any comment, any opinions that you'd like to share with all of us and with the master plan team, there's an email address there as well. So encourage everybody who is interested in the subject to pay attention to that. Check out the website. Attend on the 8th for the work session if you're interested in hearing the sort of mid-course progress of the plan. But we'll certainly be getting out the word about when the next public session will be in September. Then the last point I had on my list was apropos of tonight's weather. We're coming into a season of more extreme weather, or at least the potential for same, and we strongly encourage everybody to get to pleasantville-ny.gov, click in the left-hand column on Code Red, and sign up if you have not already done so to give us multiple ways to reach you in an emergency condition. You can enter cell phone numbers, places you want to receive a text message, email addresses, alternate phones that might be elsewhere from your home. Please sign up. It's a huge help, and it's a service that we would only activate in the event of an emergency, a hurricane, serious outage of power, whatever. It would be a huge help to all of us, so get yourself to pleasantville-ny.gov, click on Code Red, and sign up. Anything else?
We got a nice, I just wanted to thank the whoever the reporter was that wrote up that nice article.
Oh, yes,
Those
thank you
in
for
the
mentioning
New York
that, yeah.
Times this weekend. It was on the web last week, and I think it was on Sunday's New York Times. You know, one of those great places to live type articles, and talked all about all the great amenities and things we have here, the great housing stock, the Jacob Burns, the farmers market, the pond, the sports, the fields. everything. I mean, it was just a great article. So if anybody hasn't seen it, and you can get on the web and check out the write-up about the village of Pleasantville this past weekend. It was really great, and I was gratified to see it.
And also a really nice little gallery of 14 pictures.
Yeah, on the web. It was really nice gallery of pictures. It was great.
So I've gotten a lot of feedback about that. Probably all of us have. A lot of people saw it, and
Yeah,
it's terrific.
good news.
In fact, one funny thing about one of those pictures, it's a picture of Romer Avenue where I live. It's my neighbor's house. Used to be Pete Gilhooley's house. Now the new folks that live there, name is King, and they have 2 5-year-old daughters. Pete lived there 50 years, never got in the newspaper. Those folks have been there 3 weeks, and they made it in the newspaper. The kids were in the newspaper, so it's great. Or, on the picture.
All right, well, nice to have the New York Times ratify what we already know, which is it's a pretty good place to live, and glad to have more people be aware of that. So, all right, we have a public hearing on a rather modest subject tonight. Is there a motion to open a public hearing on a local law amending Chapter 173, Vehicles on Traffic, Section 173-75, Schedule 27, Parking Meter Zones?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome to the public hearing on this stunning and dramatic subject. Patty, you want to report the plan here?
Sure. What this local law will do, if enacted, will establish uniform parking hours for our off-street parking lots that are operated by the pay and display stations. So we would be changing the Bedford lot from what's currently a 2-hour limit to a 3-hour parking limit, and we would be converting their short-term spaces from 15 minutes to 20 minutes, and there are only a handful of those in that lot. So that is it in a nutshell.
So that aligns it with some years back, we had the idea that the Manville lot, that is the lot behind Dunkin' Donut, the bookstore, Glass Onion, that row, would be a 3-hour lot, and that the lot on Bedford between Holy Innocents and the bagel store would be a 2-hour lot. And what this would propose to do is make them both 3 hours so that the Bedford lot would match the Manville lot.
Correct.
That certainly seems anecdotally appropriate based on the availability of space and the fact that having an extra hour is helpful to lots of people. Unrelated to the change in the time, a number of people have asked me why we made the change and took out the meters and put in the pay and display. The primary driver behind that was to create a mechanism for people to be able to pay with a credit or a debit card, which is a fabulously expensive venture to do if you try to do it at every meter head. But in exchange for the fact that you need to go over to the device and then bring the chip back and put it on your dashboard, it creates the opportunity for people to pay with a credit or debit card and not have to worry about whether they have a pocket full of quarters. So there are 2 devices, same as there are over on Manville. One's on the Bedford side, one's on the exit side that leads out to Wheeler. So that was the basis for that change, and I think in the end it's a net positive, although certainly for some it adds a few extra steps to your trip. So any further comment on the idea of changing that lot from 2 hours to 3?
No, I think it's great.
Comment from the public?
Well needed.
769-1677. The phones are ringing off the hook. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is closed, and we have the second of our resolutions tonight to take action on that subject. So let's go to the resolutions. Number 124, Steve.
Resolved that pre-check register dated July 25th, 2016 for fiscal year 2016 through 17 covering check numbers 83931 and 84058 has been reviewed and they are hereby approved as listed below. From the general fund, the water fund, the capital fund, the refuse fund, the pool fund, and the trust and agency fund, a total of $671,751.84.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments or questions on the check register? None?
Didn't see anything out of the ordinary.
Okay.
It's just regular business, right?
Yeah,
I think.
it costs a lot of money to run a village, it turns out. Okay, all in favor of the check register?
Aye.
Motion approved. Number 125, Minnie.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves a local law amending Chapter 173, Vehicle and Traffic, Section 173-75, Schedule 27, parking meter zones as follows: to delete Bedford Road parking lot on both sides for 2 hours in the Bedford Road parking lot, and Bedford Road parking lot on the west side, the 15-minute up to 5 designated spaces, and add Bedford Road parking lot on both sides to 3 hours, and the Bedford Road parking lot on the west side, 20-minute spaces from 15.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The deed is done. Park for 3 hours. Good news. Colleen, 126.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village administrator to engage the services of Frederick P. Clark Associates for planning and advisory services for the fiscal year June 1, 2016 through May 31, 2017, as per the terms set forth in their proposal letter dated July 14, 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
F.P. Clark is the longstanding planning consultant to the village, and their employee, Sarah Brown, has been the planner who sits with our planning commission and provides consulting services. The lion's share of our consulting services are ultimately paid by the applicants. Sarah has been doing a good job for us for quite some years. This is a retainer agreement that commits us to no specific amount of money, but commits us to a rate. Her time has been billed at $190 per hour for the last 3 fiscal years, and they propose for this year a modest increase of $5 to $195. Village only charge for the time and materials actually provided. So it is.
I read it as there was no increase.
Yeah, I think
This year.
three
Oh,
three
okay.
fiscal years prior to
Okay,
last year
sorry.
was at 190.
Yeah.
Then
No,
year
last
was-
year
Last
they
year it
propo-
was increased, you're right, yes.
Yeah, they
So-
proposed
no
it
change.
last year, there's no change.
It was
Yeah.
995 last year,
Okay,
yes.
right.
Yes, thank you for that.
Sarah does a very good job. I know the Planning Commission is satisfied with her efforts and her work. So I think this is a good opportunity to continue that relationship.
Okay. Any further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. 127, Joe.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the salary increase for Richard Fernandez, court officer, in the amount of $22 per hour.
Is there a second?
Second.
Patty, that's consistent with the budget.
Yes, and with the other court officer salaries.
So it's being raised to $22 an hour?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make it clear, because the way it reads, it
Yeah, I think we should modify the way that reads, because
Yeah,
it says
that's fine.
approves the salary increase in the amount of $22, which implies
just
that
do it
it's...
to
$20 more.
Yeah.
to put in where the word "in" is, change it to the amount of $22 per hour.
Good point. All right, everybody happy with the amendment, the mover
Yes.
and the seconder? All in
Yes.
favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. 128, Steve.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the out-of-state conference for the mayor to attend the Mayor's Institute in Miami Beach, Florida, from September 20 through September 23, 2016, at no cost to the village.
Is there a second?
Second. No,
So,
I can't do that. Wait, somebody else has to second.
Somebody else has
I
to
seconded- Seconded myself.
For quite some years, the National Endowment on the Arts, together with the United States Conference of Mayors and the American Architectural Foundation, has run a program called the Mayor's Institute on City Design. And they run 3 or 4 programs in the course of the year in various locations in the country. And I have been invited to participate in the East Coast one this year, September 20 to 23rd, which is a program where 8 mayors of places around the East come each with a design problem, make a presentation about that design problem, and then the other 7 mayors, a panel of 8 design professionals and real estate professionals, as well as people from the NEA and the United States Conference of Mayors and the American Architectural Foundation, work on those over the course of this 3-day program. So it's a great opportunity. The entire cost of it is funded by the National Endowment on the Arts, and so there is no cost whatsoever to the village. And I was delighted to have the opportunity and delighted to accept.
Yeah, that's great.
What are you going to present?
Well, so we'll talk about that, but I think, we're in the midst of looking at our master planning process and the notion of transit-oriented development and the mix of uses as well as the parking and circulation problems we have here, and that feels like certainly the realm we ought to be in, and we can talk further about how to focus that.
Frame that, yeah.
One nice aspect of this program is that there is a local sponsor which provides the setting for the event in each location, and in this case it's the Florida international university, and they have an architecture school as well as a planning department, and part of the stipend they get from the NEA to manage this involves visiting each of the 8
Oh,
communities.
cool. So they'll come.
So someone will come here and assist us in thinking about how to frame what we want to bring to the event. So,
And this is normally not, they know we're not a city.
yeah, believe me. So this
They know
came.
we're a small little village that has a
They know that.
part-time mayor.
I threw my hat in the ring with great clarity that clearly we're at the small end of the telescope.
Like they don't expect Spano to show up or anything,
and,
right?
Received the happy report that not only are they very much interested in a range of different sizes, but I think they were interested in our sort of special position as a very small place with a bunch of bigger place kinds of issues.
Bigger issues.
Yeah, so.
That's
At
great.
any rate, I look forward to it.
Great.
As mentioned, all the costs associated with it are funded by the NEA, no cost whatsoever to the village. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved, 129, Colleen.
No, I think it's me.
It's
It's
Mindy.
Mindy.
Oh, sorry.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the reinstatement of Gary Gibbs to the position of Community Service Worker at a salary of $44,263, effective upon approval from the Westchester County Department of Human Resources.
Is there a second?
Second.
Patty, this is a transfer back from his current role as motor equipment operator.
Yes, this is a reinstatement to a competitive class position at his request.
Prefers to go back to the job he used to have.
Yes, so we do have a vacancy for an MEO's position, and we are actively recruiting for that for the Public Works Department.
All right. Great, certainly.
Do you have to go off a list? Or no?
Not for MEO.
No?
No, but there is a skill set we look for, but
Yeah. And
CDL
bringing him,
license preferred.
bringing him back at the lower rate, that's fine, doesn't break any rules, there's no
No.
prohibitions to doing that?
No, it's a different scale, and it's as long as he's consenting to it, it's fine.
Great. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. 130.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village treasurer to appropriate funds sufficient to cover 50% of the costs incurred by Ashburn Hall for HVAC improvements at the Clinton Street Center. Said appropriation is not to exceed $25,000 without further authorization.
Is there a second?
Second.
So as some of you may know, the Village Senior Center is on the first floor of Ashburn Hall at the corner of Clinton and Wheeler Avenue. The upper 2 floors have 24 senior affordable apartments, and the first floor is occupied by the village's senior programs, including our kitchen, the dining and activity room, and the activity room that's on the left-hand side that's used also for other kinds of activities. So the building has a somewhat blended HVAC system, but our area that we lease from Ashburn Hall is the only area in the building that has air conditioning, but the operation of the air conditioning is linked to the operation of the heating. There have been a series of problems over the last some years that have made it difficult to manage the system we have in place, which is now 13 years old, and with the assistance of our contract managers for Ashburn Hall, which is a home, an affordable living not-for-profit that has its own offices diagonally across the street from Ashburn Hall on Tompkins. The folks at DP Wolf have given us 3 different options. The one we propose to accept is a total cost of $45,525, and that is to replace essentially the electronics and all of the electronics-related elements that manage the HVAC program. There's a more costly proposal to do the same thing, but to do it over 3 phases to spread out the expense. And then there's a less costly solution to try to do a sort of a patch solution that changes part of it, but not all of it. I think Patty and I had a meeting over at Ashburn with the folks from DP Wolf and from A-Home, and I think all of us are convinced that this needs to be fixed right, and that the halfway solution is probably just buying us more trouble down the road, as mentioned in the resolution. Because of the integrated aspect of the controls for the heat and the air conditioning, the village would pay half, and Ashburn LLC, which is the not-for-profit that actually is the official owner and operator of the building as a whole, would pay the other half.
Do
Comments?
we have a sense of when they would do this?
Immediately.
So they'd get it in
For the fall,
for the time, in time for the
Yeah.
weather to get cool.
correct.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why we want to move on it.
right,
Yeah.
so,
Before winter's coming, as they say.
Hard to believe.
I know.
At 98 degrees outside.
That's right.
And
So-
thunderous rainstorms. But
I will say, I will be happy not to have to talk
Worry about it.
again in my life about the heating and air conditioning in that building. Please, I want it to work. Any further comments, questions?
They will come back to us
Right.
if it's going to be higher. We're going to have to reauthorize.
I
No,
think
they're
this is the way to
clear.
go.
They've looked at this, and just FYI, DP Wolf has the service contract for the HVAC system in the building, and so they're quite familiar with
Oh,
it
they know what
and are in
the
it
gremlins
in the
that are
building
there
on a
already
regular
are,
basis.
okay.
And so they've put together, I think, a very, very believable proposal. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. 131. Joe, is that?
Yep.
Yep.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village administrator to engage the services of Fundamental Business Service, Inc., 14 Front Street, Hempstead, New York, for a parking ticket management system as per the terms set forth in their in their agreement dated July 25, 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
Patty, you want to explain
Yeah, I'd be
what's
happy
at
to.
hand here?
There was a presentation to the board back in April by FBS, if you recall. We had
Yes, we
an
did.
opportunity to meet with the
Yep.
principals of the company. They basically provide parking ticket management services, which ranges from hardware like the handheld ticket devices that the parking enforcement officers use, to the administration on the back end of the ability to collect tickets that are past due 30 days. So it's a web-based system. It's a lot more reliable than what we are working with, and we also think that there's just that there's an opportunity to retain more revenue if we go to this type of a revenue collection system. So we've come full circle with them. We've negotiated some of the terms that we'd like to see in the contract, and at this point in time, once the board authorizes and approves this contract, we will go back to our current vendor and then start to find a way to separate ourselves from them.
Well, our court clerk Stephanie did a great job
Yeah.
She
putting
did.
this
Thank you.
together.
Yes, she did.
She gave us a great presentation of why, how, when, who, and this was she just did a great job.
So it's a 3-year term. You know, it has opportunities to terminate it if there are any breaches in it. And then going forward from there, it would be an annual agreement. Okay? So we
Okay,
know at least
and-
there's a rate lock for 3 years.
Good.
The compensation for all of this is based in part on the number of tickets collected, so in the end,
Not tickets written, that's correct. It's not a... it's not-
Collected.
Right, it's not a system that's going to compel
Right.
anybody to do anything
Good.
extraordinary.
right.
It's on the basis of what actually we do not collect after 30 days, so it's only on those that become delinquent.
And as Patty already mentioned, we are cautiously optimistic that actually it will be a net better deal for the village, as well as providing the new functionality you described, so.
Yeah, we've watched it in operation now for about 1.5 years in Harrison, and Stephanie was very impressed with the way it was able, their clerks were able to administer the program, so.
And I think it's going to make their lives immeasurably
I think
better,
so,
right?
too.
The addition of some technology into that is
Yes,
great.
correct.
Gary's coming back just in time.
Yes, he is, that's correct.
All in favor of number 132?
Aye.
Aye, motion, I'm sorry, 131. 132 now, Steve.
Well, let me get back up there.
We are just rocketing here into the 21st century.
We're trying.
Yeah, so I love this one. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village administrator to engage the services of Novus Agenda for a period of 90 of a 90-day trial for an agenda management program, and if deemed satisfactory, authorizes administrator to engage the services at a cost of $4,950 annually. And this is awesome, I think.
It
Is there a
it's great
second?
program.
Second.
We're really excited.
Patty,
Yeah, thank you.
describe the paperless meeting automation.
Yes.
Well, we're excited to bring this opportunity not only to the village board, but to the planning commission and zoning board and architectural review board. There's no limit to the number of users once we get this program, so we are going to roll this out as we can, and we think that it's going to be well received. Essentially what it'll do is it will give electronic agendas to all of the board members on all of the boards with supporting documentation, not only for the meeting that they're sitting in, but any other reference to any of that agenda item
Right,
that
it's
may
all
have happened.
cross-linked, right?
It all becomes a file cabinet, so to speak, for the member.
That's great.
It's intuitive, it's easy to create.
Searchable
will-
PDFs?
Yes,
It's
it'll resolve.
And it
all
should be
kinds of
noted that we're
issues.
replacing nothing. We don't have anything.
Right
Correct.
now it's
Yes,
a
correct.
chisel
So
and
this is
and a
all
stone
like-
tablet.
Well, what we
And I
do
have
right
some
now,
some very enthused employees in the building department wanting to use this. So this is a
Really
another
needed for planning.
Great.
opportunity. Yeah.
as some of you may have noticed, a couple of years back, we switched to PDF agendas, and so instead of getting a packet on a Friday night, a stack of paper, we all work off PDFs, which has worked pretty well, but this obviously provides a much better centralized repository and also a much better way to make agendas available to the public,
Yes.
not only for the
Correct.
village board, but also for
That is
any
correct.
other boards and commissions that have agendas, so.
The
And
public
and
will be
da-
very impressed with
The
this.
data storage, the document storage is all on their server?
Yes.
So we don't even have to buy hardware.
No.
That cost covers even data storage.
Correct.
They
Any-
charge you for training and, and,
Yeah, it's a SaaS model.
yeah.
Software as service. So anyone who's watching who is a under the hood geek about this kinds of things, it's a Novus agenda you can look at it at Novus Solutions. That's Novu Solutions, not two S's, novusolutions.com to take a look at it. But an impressive thing. Croton's been using it for quite some time. Judy is a freelance minute taker at Croton
Oh,
and
she's a
knows it
fan.
well.
Yeah, she's a
She's
fan of
very
this
impressive.
program.
And
She's
reports
seen
that
it.
it's
Yeah.
very good. So
And they retain all that data for how long? Forever? Do they say they purge after a while?
I'll get that information for you.
in the end, obviously, if there is any purge, it has to come back for
It's all on
our
the Amazon
data
cloud. I
archiving,
think
yeah.
we basically it's there as long as we are a member. And then when we're not, we get whatever we have to get to.
Right, we get it on some medium.
Correct.
Got it.
Okay, great.
All right. We're trying to
Yeah.
get it
Did we vote? We voted, yes.
21st
Did we not?
century.
No.
we didn't
No,
vote.
we
We
didn't
vote.
vote yet.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
133, Mindy. Mindy.
Boy, I'm sorry.
Oh, Mindy,
What do I have?
Here you go.
the police car.
This is groundbreaking.
Uh,
This is truly groundbreaking.
Oh.
The first police car I've ever voted for.
oh,
9 years, never a police
And the
car.
gods have lined up the sequence of
That's
the
right.
resolutions, so
That's
this would
right.
fall to you.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village treasurer to transfer funds from the capital reserve in the amount of $44,000 for a police vehicle as per the adopted fiscal year 2016-2017 budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
So as reported in the agenda, this is a car that we agreed to buy in the course of our budget process and adopted in the fiscal budget.
yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
When will
approved.
we get that, you think?
They're available, so I would think probably within 30 to 45 days by the time they do
Get it
everything
all
they need to
figured
do
out?
to it. Yes.
Did we budget this much?
We have capital reserve we intended to use to transfer that to general, yes.
Because I
Yes.
remember like a 35,000, but they always come out to be more.
Well, this is actually, and this is a 4x4. It's a little more money.
Because it's replacing the
Yeah.
The escape.
Cars were about
the Ford
35,
Escape.
but-
So,
Right.
all right, number 134, Colleen.
Resolves that the Board of Trustees has reviewed the minutes of the meeting held on Monday, July 11, 2016, and they are hereby approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Comments or corrections to the minutes?
No?
None.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
11 minutes, I want you to know that.
Yeah, we
agenda
set a
was
record on that.
11 minutes.
Motion approved.
Judy said something went wrong. I said, oh, no.
Something went very right.
You could have recited the Gettysburg Address or something, anything.
No,
you
no.
know.
No.
Yeah.
So
We
we need
worked
a
well,
motion.
and I gave
So we need a motion for
Joe
executive
Joe
session.
and Steve talked a lot about the music festival too.
We did. About 5 minutes, so really
Yeah.
the agenda was 6
Yes.
minutes long.
Yeah.
And we talked about the garden, too.
Yeah, we talked about the
Yeah,
community
so we
garden.
actually got a lot done in those 11 minutes.
And the ducks.
And
This
the
wasn't bad, though. Tonight you're doing, this is pretty good.
All right, so we're finished with the regular resolutions.
Yeah.
Let me remind everyone, we started our evening tonight with a work session discussion with the folks from Sunrise Senior Living and Bedford Road Partners regarding their potential proposal for a senior assisted living facility on the wooded lot that is adjacent to the Methodist Church. That is a reprise with some modifications of a project similar to the one that Benchmark proposed a couple of years ago. Sunrise has been here twice and made a presentation to us the last time, came back for some feedback, which they received from the board members tonight. And their preliminary thought is that we may see an application for a zoning change that would permit
It's actually 3 times they were here.
assisted senior living.
This was the 3rd time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Assisted senior living on that site, and their attorney, Cy Gruza, indicated that anything could change, obviously, but that at the moment, we might see such an application somewhere in the fall, perhaps October. So anyone with an interest on that subject, pro or con, we encourage you to keep an eye out for agendas that are of interest to you, and an opportunity to remind you again, you can sign up at pleasantville-ny.gov, click on the left column, subscribe to news, and choose the agendas and information you might want to receive. So if you're interested in keeping an eye on the agendas for planning, zoning, village board, architectural review board, etc., you can pick and choose, sign yourself up, and get those automatically to your inbox. So a great way to stay in touch with what's going on in the village, and I encourage all of you to do it. One last pitch to do it, to sign up for Code Red while you're there, our emergency notification system. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We need executive
Do we
session.
need to go?
Oh, sorry, yes. Is there a motion, instead of adjourning, to adjourn to executive session
I'm a good clerk.
on advice of legal counsel, review of contracts, and a potential real estate acquisition by Metro North?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Uh,
Good evening. Thank you. We'll see you in 2 weeks, August 8.